my relationship to myself and being trans was less about, it was less focused on how the world sees me and who I actually want to be. It felt less about me defending every single choice, every single outfit, every single mannerism to everybody outside of me, to what kind of person I want to be. And that's where I found the light beings, where I found sacred sons, where I found red tents, and where I really dived into how to be accountable, how to be honest, the foundations of like a good human being kind, humble, proud, bold, empathetic, compassionate, and driven. So once I stopped caring so much about how the world saw me, I cared about how I saw me.
All right, y'all, welcome to the Naked Earth podcast. This week we're doing something different. I'll be your host, Alyna Rose. So I want to talk to you about this concept of being transgender as this concept of a third gender, because I think that a lot of people might have the preconception or the notion that being trans means you're trying to deny that you were born one gender and switch to being born, well, switch to the other gender in a way where you try to match as closely in physical appearance and biology to the other gender. And something that you and I talk a lot about is how your mission is to be who you are regardless of that. So can you just speak a little bit to what does it mean for transgender to be a third gender? Let's start there.
What does it mean to be a third gender? I feel like it's living outside of the boxes of the cultural expectations of what man and woman means, not sex. Sex is male and female and intersex. And gender is the way that we operate in the world, which is classic. Women are only nurses, and men are firefighters and police officers, and women cook and clean, and men are strong and fix stuff. And to be the third gender is to ride the line between the two more often than everybody else.
Okay, to ride the line between the two. And what would you say the relationship is between the third gender or transgender and the male experience and the female experience from your own experience? Make him think.
I feel like for the male part of me, it's always been more natural. Like as a kid, I was always more like, I want to like do the boy stuff. I want to play basketball. I want to walk without my shirt on. Like since I was a little kid, like 5, 6, 7 years old. And girly stuff, again, I'm just talking about like gender. Girly stuff, like dolls and dresses and makeup, was so forced for me. Like I didn't want to do that. Like to the point of I would get a doll for Christmas and I like chopped it up and threw it in the trash.
Oh my gosh. Like, bye, bitch.
Yeah, I made like the weird Barbies. Um,
Yeah.
so the male, like masculine part of me came so much easier in the way of just like being myself. It felt really authentic and easy. And the feminine part of me came much later when I was 18, 19, 20, when I started my physical transition and I had this light bulb moment of, I don't want to transition out of hate for my body. I want to transition out of love for my body, because I was also doing like self-help stuff and everything. And so everything was just like, how can I love myself at the deepest state? Because I was running a fundraiser to get my top surgery, which was like $8,000. And somebody in my community was like, I really want to support your journey, but I don't want to support somebody that hates their body. Because in the description, I was like, I hate my tits and I want to cut them off. And, you know, and when she said that, that was the light bulb moment for me. Um, so I always think of her with gratitude because she really changed my life. I still felt trans, like it didn't change the way that my identity and my life was going because that was authentic. That's what lit me up. But it changed the way I approached it. And so, what got me started on embracing the feminine within me was the first thing I did was I went to a nudist circle with my, tits and my vagina and, these crude type of words for the feminine body. Um, I went there and I just was naked and I allowed myself to be seen in all of me without trying to hide my breasts in a binder. Yeah, that nudist circle really got me started on my path of embracing the feminine by really just like embracing that. And then I learned about red tents and the womb and how the intuition and magic really stems from that feminine energy and how the womb is a sacred space for literal creation, whether it's human or not. Oracles, for example, like in Greek times, like they were virgins, and because they were creating from that womb space without the necessity to like literally create life. And I think that's how I use that in my life today is like connecting to my womb and connecting to that ability to create life through my projects, through my business, through my relationships. And so for me, it's more mystical, the feminine energy, rather than like painting my nails and, things like that. And it also comes through in like sexual energy. Like my sexual energy is definitely a lot more feminine than masculine. Yeah, it's just riding that line of, you know, receiving and being soft and like giving and knowing what the fuck I want.
And I want to speak to something too, because you mentioned oracles being virgins, and I've actually like never heard that specifically before. I know in like Christianity and Catholicism, they pray to like Mother Mary as a virgin, but I've never heard outside of that oracles being virgin. And I know this is off topic of like trans as a third gender, but this is also like in the mystical world that, we both dance in. And I want to say I have had plenty of sex in my life, and it does not by any means make me not able to be mystical and magical and still see a lot of visions all the time in my dreams, in my nightmares, unfortunately, but there's blessings in those too. Check out the podcast with Serafina Luce if you want to go deeper into that. But anyway, yeah, I think that there's like weird obsession with like purity and innocence in women being associated with not having sex is like such a misconception, and this idea that when women have sex they're dirty and undesirable is like so twisted. So that's what came up for me when you were sharing about that. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I held on to that idea of like being a virgin. I didn't have sex with a man until I was like, 26. And I was like, oh my God, I'm a virgin. Like, I had so much sex and I had so many partners. So, like, no, I wasn't. With women, with female people. So it was this weird, like, idea. And then afterwards, I'm like, I'm the same person. Like, that was kind of ridiculous. But
Mm,
yeah, the oracles in Greece and ancient Rome, like the ancient European places, yeah, they were virgins. And what comes up for me with that of why is I think the same way men today practice celibacy to like hold their seed and hold their power and like not like spill it out all the time. I think it was kind of a similar thing, like this purity idea, but personally, I think the more orgasms women have, the more powerful they are.
yeah, I'm in that
So
boat.
why were the oracles
I
virgins? You know, who knows? But I think they focus their creative energy and their sexual energy they pushed it up into their intuition, into their psyche, into their
I
connection
get
with God.
it.
So, but I don't
Yeah.
think they needed to be virgins to do that.
So how do you feel like the role of the oracle lives within you?
Through my art, through my creations, through my business. Every single flute I've made, every single art piece I made, every single drawing I make, every single creation and invention that I put out into the world is my divine oracle, because I don't make
Mm,
anything for the sake of making it. I'm not just like, I'm gonna make this because I feel like it, or it's always starts in a dream, or it starts in an intuitive ping. Even the cacao that we're building right now, it's like I had this intuitive ping to do this for like years, like 2 years,
hmm
and it's stuck. It's like been around. I'm like, okay, I think there's something here, but also being sensitive to the energies around, because it's not always the right time to birth something. We can do
mm.
everything, just not at the same time.
Yeah,
So
I always say that one.
that's yeah.
Yeah, it's my thing.
Yeah, it's in the creations and the inventions, and even with the cacao. I had a dream about it, like coming to fruition, a few months ago about it. So that's when I was like, all right, bet, like let's do this. It's
Damn, I don't think I know about it.
We were building a road uphill, and all the asphalt and tar and rocks, just as soon as you would lay it down, it would crumble and fall down the road, down the hill. And there were vehicles at the bottom of the hill, like beeping and honking and rushing, like they're like, we want to go up, we need you to finish this road. And we got frustrated and we went back down the hill to like reassess, like what are we doing wrong, let's figure it out. And we drove past this tree, and in the tree there was a golden monkey. And you, Alyna, like actually climbed like on the monkey's back, and you
I
like went.
shrunk, right? I
Yeah, you
shrunk.
shrunk and climbed on the monkey's back, and you like went into the tree, and you came back, and you know it was
I built the
basic.
road. I brought the road with us.
Yeah,
Yeah.
basically it was the wisdom and the cacao to. That's like, this is it. This is like, you came back with the wisdom and the cacao and results of like, this is the next step. And
Yeah.
that's that's when I knew. I was like, all right, let's do this. And for
Mm,
example, like the jewelry that I made, for example, I didn't really feel intuitive pings for that. Like
mm.
making the jewelry felt like a way for me to. It was very intellectual. It was very masculine thinking. It was very like, okay, my hands hurt. I can't create. I still want to be an artist. It was very logical, very practical. And like, I can still carve wax and be able to reproduce it. And, we can move it this way. There was no intuitive pings. There was no like divine guidance for it. And it failed.
Yeah.
We failed. We invested in this. We built it, and it just has not picked up. And I think that was the road that we were building in the beginning of the dream.
And so do you think there's a direct relationship between living from that oracle space and success?
1000%.
Yeah.
You do it too. You do it with your music.
I know, but it's about you right now. But yeah, I mean, yeah, for sure. I have 3 albums out, and yeah, I feel like whenever I write songs from my logical brain, they sound like absolute shit. And then when I like kind of go into that ethereal space, kind of like meditation space, and just clear my mind, and I'll start like hearing a melody or hearing a phrase come through like over and over and over and over, doing somersaults in my head. And then I'll just kind of like pull that out, kind of like magicians pull out like the bunny rabbit out of the black hat. Like I'll like pull out this tune or this like seed of a tune, and then from there I'll just see where it wants to take me. I don't really know the medicine of the song until I mean sometimes, even years later, really, like Ripples of the Water and Circle of Life, the 2 songs off my last EP, it like sometimes just takes so long for me to just understand what it's trying to tell me. um, Florence from Florence and the Machine has this quote about useless magic that I've always loved because I had that book that she put out when I was in high school. It's like this red velvet cover, and it's like this scrapbook of like all of her like little moments of like her songs and her poems and photos and weird shit, and I just loved it. All in her kind of like witchy Renaissance-y aesthetic. So anyway, in that book or on the back cover is this quote about useless magic, and it's about how her songs feel like prophecies that she doesn't understand until after they've passed. So in a sense, her songs and her poems feel like useless magic.
Hmm.
So that always resonated with me.
I love that useless magic. Yeah, like
Yeah.
my dream useless magic is this like intuition useless magic? I think that's kind of the joke, is that the useless magic is actually more useful than we think.
Yeah, I think it's only not useful if you don't know how to use it. Like if you don't know how to tap into it. Because like
Mm.
I've also had like for example, I just had a dream um like a month ago where I was living the life that my family wanted for me, right? I was an Orthodox Jew and I had 10 kids and we went to temple like every day and I wore a wig because that's what you do in the religion when you're married. And I had no tattoos and I was very thin. And like, I don't know if they want me to be like an Orthodox Jew, probably like more conservative, but I went to an Orthodox temple from 12 to 18. So that's pretty like embedded deep into me, like all those experiences. So that's just where it kind of landed in the dream. So anyway, I feel like it could have been useless magic if I didn't know how to interpret it, but I feel like I felt like, damn, I'm so grateful I'm not doing that because that's not like my authentic truth. So to me, it felt like there's this part of me that feels guilty that I'm not doing that for my family because I know that that's what they want, but I feel more free being myself. So I feel like there's kind of easier ones like that to interpret, and then there's some more complex ones. Or like with the dream that you shared, it sounds like it sounds more like it came in a moment to be like a compass and guide you. Like you kind of knew where it was gonna take you. Okay, well, I wanna like talk more about being trans and two spirit and third gender and like these terms. And I want to ask you, how has your relationship shifted with being trans over the years? Because you've been out and trans for about 13 years, right?
Yeah.
Like 15 to 28. Yeah. So how has it shifted?
How has my relationship to being trans shifted?
Mm-hmm.
In the beginning, from like 15 to 18, I was very like F you to everybody and very combative
I think
to,
your La Dispute tattoo like gives that away.
yeah, um, very combative to everyone around me, to like defend this version of myself that I knew was real in my head to everybody else around me. Like I had to be a little delusional. And I think that's actually kind of the same with like being an entrepreneur.
Is it
I
like a
have to be.
fake it till you make it kind of thing?
Yeah, I mean, look,
Yeah.
I had like long hair, I had breasts, I had a very high voice, I looked like a girl. And I'm telling everybody around me, my name is Elliot, and I go by he, him. I look a little delusional to normies on the outside that don't understand transgender or queer culture and what, those seeds actually turn out to be, which is who I am now. Like,
Yeah.
I saw this version of me when I was a kid. So, and then once I got top surgery at 19 and started taking testosterone at 20, my relationship to myself and being trans was less about, it was less focused on how the world sees me and who I actually want to be.
Mm.
It felt less about me defending every single choice, every single outfit, every single mannerism to everybody outside of me, to what kind of person do I want to be. And that's
Mm.
where I found the light beings, where I found Sacred Sons, where I found Red Tents, and where I really dived into how to be accountable, how to be honest, the foundations of like a good human being kind, humble, proud, bold, empathetic, compassionate, and driven.
Hmm.
So once I stopped caring so much about how the world saw me, I cared about how I saw me.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
And it's kind of been that way since, I was 2021. I mean, in the last few years where like this little beard has come in, I feel a bit more euphoric and like a bit more confident, like, and so I'm exploring like what kind of fashion do I like. I kind of like wearing suits and button down t-shirts, and but I feel like that also just comes with maturity and age and things
Living
like
in
that.
Europe and being hot.
Yeah. Yeah, wearing basketball t-shirts and t-shirt isn't really what people wear here in Europe,
Yeah.
in Spain.
So I also want to ask you, when did you know that you were trans and what was it like growing up trans inside, internally?
Hitting the core.
Going deep. If you want to, we can talk about something else. You
Yeah,
don't want to.
own it, babe.
Tell me.
When I was a kid, I always knew I was a little boy. I just didn't know how to say it or what it actually meant. Like, I never liked the girly things. Never liked, the dolls and the playing with girlfriends and all these things. Like, I was like, I want a wife and kids, and like, I want to be like the dad, and I want to be strong, and I want to walk around with my shirt off, and it just was so like, duh, when I was a kid. Even my parents knew that that's who I was. They just also didn't know. They didn't have the language or resources to help me with that. Yeah, I always knew.
Can you tell us about that moment when you were 3?
Oh, when I cut my hair off.
Yeah.
Yeah, when I was like 5, I think. I used to have these little pigtails, and I actually looked like Boo from Monsters Inc. And I was really cute. And I went into
Yes,
my
you
mom's.
were. I've seen the photos. You were really cute.
Yeah, and so I had these little pigtails, and I went into my mom's room, and I used the scissors, and I cut them at the base of my hair, and was running around with these little pigtails in my hands like a trophy. And I think that's when they knew.
Yeah. Well, you were screaming, I'm a boy, around the house, holding your pigtails with your ragged pixie cut.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Those Christmas pictures that year were pretty rough.
Yeah. The next thing I want to talk about is that basically, since you've been more vocal and stepped into leadership space online, like talking about your transition and talking about who you are, a lot of people have come to us and started sharing their own processes, specifically a lot of people who have been allies who want to support but are wrestling with their own inner demons. And I'm curious, like, what would you tell those people who have a good heart and like want to be kind of on your side? Like they want to support you, they want to see you thrive, they want trans people to have a good quality of life, which is, sounds so obvious to me. Like I want every single human being and every creature to have a good quality of life. But for some reason, it's like a whole movement to say that. You know what I, and I'm glad there's a movement for it, but I'm saying like it shouldn't be something that is like radical to say. So anyway, I'm getting lost in the sauce. But what I want to ask you is what is your process when people come to you with these thoughts and how do you respond?
For people that want to be allies, and want to be on the same page and be supportive, but they have no idea how, I invite them to be a dreamer.
Mm-hmm.
I invite them to imagine this person, this trans person in front of you that might not look like a boy yet or a girl yet. And imagine that they were. Like, it's not that hard. It's like I know it's weird in the beginning when people transition. I know it's awkward. It's like a penguin with its like fluff that's falling out, and it's like, what's going on? And that's, just the awkward phase of being trans. We're going through literally like a second puberty. And I invite you to just imagine somebody was different. The same way you would imagine and visualize your dreams coming true. The same way you imagine and visualize, summer coming in the winter or winter coming in the summer. The same way you imagine and anticipate anything, just apply that to the person in front of you. Because, like I said in the beginning, I had to be a little delusional to get to where I am today. And if I didn't have belief and faith that I was going to get here, I tried to kill myself.
Mm-hmm.
Just like a lot of other trans people do. Because it's hard when you're the only one who believes in this dream of who you can be, and nobody else around you dreams with you.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why trans people are so freaking magical, because we take this dream inside of our heart and make it a literal physical reality. The same way entrepreneurs do, the same way anybody who's
Artists.
fallen. Yeah, artists. We are
Yeah.
a living masterpiece. So dream a little.
I love that. I feel like that was the juice of the podcast right there. Oh, thank you so much for just being courageous to have these conversations, Elliot. Like from the moment I met you almost 6 years ago, your resilience and your ineffable courage to be who you are, despite all of the abuse and pain that you've suffered in your life, and all of the abuse and pain in the world that you feel. Like you've just always been so resilient and courageous on so many levels, to be yourself, to be trans, to be an artist, to be an entrepreneur, to be my husband, like, and all, everything we go through day to day. And I'm just like, just from the bottom of my heart, I just love the shit out of you, and I'm just so grateful
I love you too.
for you. Do you feel complete?
It's your episode. How do you want to end it?
All right. Well, I have one super special spicy question for you, and we can wrap up.
Okay.
We're gonna do a deep breath, and I want to ask you something. So let's just lean back in our chairs. Can you still hear me back here? Okay. Let's lean back. Let's just soften the eyes. Palms open on the lap. Take a deep breath. Release. And I want you to imagine you're in a room with 100 other people shuffling around you like a mall food court. And you have this opportunity to basically stop time, get on top of a table, manifest a microphone magically appears in your hand, and tell them something. And this one sentence that you say, they will carry with them all those 100 people for the rest of their lives, and it'll shape who they become and the generations after. What is that phrase that comes up?
Your dream is one choice away.
All right, y'all. That's a Naked Earth podcast. Thanks for being here. Peace.